Philadelphia beat Atlanta last night in a boring, ugly game, 18-12, delayed by bad weather, problems with the players dealing with the heat. The officiating crew called 26 penalties. Quarterback play was subpar, and that I'm being nice. Even on a night when they were celebrating their first Super Bowl championship, the Philadelphia fans reverted back to being Philadelphia fans. They booed their team as they walked off at halftime. It did work out for the Eagles. They even ran the Philly play that worked to perfection in the Super Bowl. This time, Nelson Aguilar threw the ball to Nick Foles for a key first down. But for the most part, last night's game showed you once again, you can analyze football all you want, but you have no idea how all of this is going to play out. It was not pretty. As I mentioned, 26 penalties. The Falcons flagged 15 times, 135 yards. In 256 games last season, there was only one game with 24 or more penalties. So the season opener features 26 penalties, 246 yards, and you didn't have any helmet penalties in there. So if you're looking at both of these teams, we'll look at them differently in the next 5 games, 7 games, 10 games. Falcons and Eagles, you expect, would be there by the end of the season. But with Philadelphia, this is why I said, Philadelphia fans, if you're not nervous, you should be, because Nick Foles can still act like Nick Foles from a couple of years ago, not necessarily the Super Bowl quarterback. And for Matt Ryan, if you're going to get paid, you got to play and make plays. And the red zone is a real issue here. If you want us to believe that your success has nothing to do with Kyle Shanahan calling plays, then you better produce under Steve Sarkisian. Because what we saw last night, I know it's a sample size here. Maybe it's a small sample size here, but it's becoming part of Atlanta's identity. You get to the red zone and you can't produce. And if that's the case in that division, you're going to have a hard time this season. And a hard time, making the playoffs or at least doing damage in the playoffs. Philadelphia still looks like the class of that division, and you would expect that when Carson Wentz comes back. By the way, Ian Rappaport had a report. Doug Peterson did not acknowledge it after the game, that Carson Wentz could be missing a couple of weeks. He should be missing a couple more weeks. I don't know why there's this push to get him in there. If you're winning, there's no reason to be putting him in there. Even if you're losing, you shouldn't be putting him in there. He has to take time to make this work, and this is a bigger picture here. Can we stop with the week to week? I know you want him back. We want him back. But if he's not ready, then let him sit. Let him get ready. He's going to need the next couple of weeks to get ready. Nothing wrong with that. It's almost like there's shame. Oh my gosh, he's not ready for the season opener. Okay, you had this built-in luxury with Nick Foles. Maybe now I know why you want to have Nick Foles maybe sit on the sidelines and Carson Wentz come back. But give credit to the Eagles. You won a game. And I had some people who said, do you understand why these preseason games are so important? And I said, well, no, not necessarily. Well, if you have the starters play, they didn't look like they were ready to play. There were players who didn't play during the preseason. Maybe you're going to see some sloppy play. I expect sloppy play over the weekend. For the first 2 weeks, I do. I'm not going to be surprised. I mean, Tom Brady played in the preseason. He could still be sloppy in his game against the Texans, for all I know. But I think the importance of preseason shouldn't be about the starters, getting in a rhythm. Preseason shouldn't be, hey, if Matt Ryan had played more in the preseason, he and Julio Jones would have made magic happen. I don't believe that. Devontae Freeman would have been greater if he had played in preseason. But last night, that was ugly. But we started football, and that's good. But with the NFL, unlike college football, the NFL is unpredictable. Somebody's going to get shocked over the weekend. I mean, it could be Cleveland beating Pittsburgh for all we know. But somebody is going to beat somebody, and you're going to be surprised. But with college football, for the most part, you get an idea of how this is going to play out. I don't think Ball State's beating Notre Dame this weekend. I don't think so. Now, you had App State, who took Penn State into overtime. Texas losing to Maryland. I mean, we had some surprises in there. Cincinnati beating UCLA, if you call that a surprise. But with the NFL, There's always a surprise or two, and you'll have that coming up this weekend.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.